Okay, in 6.2, page 1, the bottom of the page, and let's look at simplifying each expression using the power rule. Okay, again, a chance for us to figure out what the rule is using the definition of exponents, and that's a way that you can remember it in case if you blank out on the rule. It's a way to recall it for yourself. Okay, so what it looks like is when you have a power rule, we're talking about raising an exponent raised to another exponent, a power raised to another power. So by definition, this is x to the 12th times itself 4 times. Okay, so what does that look like? Well, that looks like x to the 12th times x to the 12th times x to the 12th times x to the 12th. There's 4 of these. And what that looks like by definition is each one of these is x times itself 12 times. Then there's another one of x times itself 12 times. And then there's a third set of x times itself 12 times. And then finally a fourth set of x times itself 4 times. And if you can imagine, had I had the space or patience to write all this out, there would have been 12, another 12, another 12, another 12. There would have been 4 sets of 12 for a total of x to the 48. So that was by counting. And again, where we got that was from, if I would have had just plain a to the 4th, that would have been a times a times a times a times a. Did I say that all right? 4 a's. So in this case, our regular base is just x to the 12th. So we had that 4 times, and each of those split out into 12. Again, we're just using the definition. Well, then the rule comes from, what are we doing every time? Instead of having to write it out, it ends up being 4 groups of 12. Or we multiplied. Essentially, we added 12 4 times, which means that we multiplied 12 times 4 to get that exponent. So the rule says when you see a power raised to a power, an exponent raised to another exponent, the rule says you multiply the exponents. 12 times 4 is equal to x to the 48th. Again, with the power rule or with the product rule up above, product is that you are multiplying the same bases, you add the exponents. Power rule is you are raising an exponent to another exponent and you multiply. Okay, so get real familiar with the difference between the way these two problems on this page look, as well as the rules that are applied to come up with the answer. And then once you feel comfortable with the notes here, pause the video, try number 14, and you might want to ask yourself, what's different about this one? And of course that answer is, it's negative inside, but is that going to change what we do with the rule? No, the whole thing is being raised to the 4, and that whole thing is being raised to the 4. So pause now, try it, come back. Your final answer here should be negative 50 to the 16th power. All I really want you to do is just practice with the exponents here. Now, one thing I'd like you to note on this one is that negative 50 is the same as negative 1 times 50. Okay, this is something that we've talked about a little bit in Math 65, depending on if you were there for some of the questions that happened in class, but also in Math 60 we hit on this a lot, that a negative in front of a number or a letter really means negative 1 times that. So if we're taking negative 50 raised to the 16th power, or raised to the 4th and then raised to the 4th again, which is to the 16th power, then we're really raising this whole thing, negative 1 times 50, to the 16th power. And that means that the negative 1 gets raised to the 16th power, as well as the positive 50. And if you do a negative 1 16 times, that's going to turn out to be a positive. So this answer is actually going to be a positive answer, because you're raising that negative to the 16th to an even number. Okay, so just as a side note here, if I were to have written negative 50 to the 16th power with no parentheses, that's the difference here. I just want to note something. This is not critical for right now. It's just a good seed to plant, okay? Negative 50 to the 16th power is literally negative 1 times 50 to the 16th. That negative did not get included in the exponents because there's no parentheses. Then you still have the negative 1. You have this 50 to the 16th, which is a positive answer. And then times the negative 1 will give you a negative answer. Okay, so when that negative is included inside the exponent, make sure, or included inside the parentheses, make sure that the exponent applies to that negative. And if it's a even exponent, it'll make it positive. Negative exponent will make it negative. Okay. Again, there's not too many of these assigned, so if it's not clicking yet for you, any of these on this page, make sure you do extra practice. And if you run out of book problems to do, go to the Student Learning Center, go online, find as many product rule and power rule exercises as you can to get really confident and become second nature to you. And in the book, pages 351 and 352 has the versions of the product rule and the power rule.